Good morning. Thank you all for being here this morning. This program is by Officer Taylor and Officer Hellman, and it's geared towards the 9th grade. We're going to generally go over the penal code and the transportation code and just kind of give you the ideas of what the offenses are that are enforceable out there. The introduction is the culpable mental states. There's going to be 4 of those, and we'll go over those. Classification and ordinary punishment for misdemeanor and felonies, and it's going to break down what the fines are and what the difference between felonies and misdemeanors are. Offenses against persons, offenses against public order, which you would commonly think as disorderly conduct, offenses against property, theft, criminal mischief, and weapons offenses. There are 4 culpable mental states: intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, and with criminal negligence. To have an offense, you have to have one or more of these culpable mental states to cause an offense to happen. Classification and ordinary punishments for misdemeanors and felonies. Class C misdemeanors are commonly known as your traffic offenses: running a stop sign, speeding, fighting in public, disruption of classes. All of those are Class C misdemeanors. A Class C misdemeanor is a municipal offense, is handled within the city of Irving. If the offense is higher than a Class C misdemeanor, it's called a county offense. Class B and Class A misdemeanors are county offenses. That means that you can do and serve time in a county jail if you were convicted of those. An example of a Class B misdemeanor would be DWI, driving while intoxicated. The first offense on that would be a Class B misdemeanor. Theft over 100 would be a Class B misdemeanor. Class A misdemeanors, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, would fall in a Class A misdemeanor. So if you kind of just get a gauge on what that is. Anything that says felony behind it means that you could do time in the penitentiary. As we go on, you will get different examples of the felony offenses. Remember, Texas is a capital punishment state. That means that we do use lethal injection, and there is a death penalty in the state of Texas. Classification of felonies. Gives you kind of the breakdown of what the felonies are. These are the death penalty cases here. If you commit a murder while doing any of these, police officer, fireman while on duty, while committing another felony. So if you break into somebody's house and kill them, then it would be a death penalty case. Murder for hire, escaping the penitentiary while in the penitentiary, killing more than one person during the same criminal episode, or killing a kid under the age of 6. Offenses against person, assault. Assaults can actually gradually go up. A Class C assault would be if you threaten to hit somebody, you touch somebody offensively, like I come over and I just hit you but you're not injured. That's a Class C assault. If I hit you and I bust your mouth open and you have to get stitches, then it goes up to Class A. If I use any kind of weapon, then it becomes an aggravated assault. So assault can go up the list depending on what's happening. To have an assault intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly, remember the 4 culpable mental states that we talked about in the beginning? We have intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly are 3 of the 4 culpable mental states that are included in assault. Causes bodily injury to another, including the person's spouse. Intentionally or knowingly threatens. So if I come up and I say I'm going to kick your, you know what I mean, then that is a threat, and that's a Class C offense, and it's an assault. Physical contact. We are a very hands-on kind of society. We want to put our hands on everybody. But if somebody becomes offended by that touch, then it's actually an assault. So it's very important that hands and feet to yourself. We learned that in kindergarten, right? Offenses against the person continued, and then you'll see how these will move up the list. Sexual assault, intentionally, knowingly. Again, 2 of the 4 culpable mental states: intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, or with criminal negligence. We have 2 right here. This is the definition of what a sexual assault is. Offenses against public order. This tends to be something that we get a lot, especially in the high schools. A person commits an offense if he intentionally or knowingly uses abusive, indecent, profane, or vulgar language in a public place, and that language by its very utterance tends to incite an immediate breach of the peace. So if I'm running around dropping the F-bomb and my little grandma's next to you and she's offended at it, it's against the law. Your freedom of speech ends where the next person's freedom not to hear it begins. So you can always say, well, I have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean that you can infringe on somebody else's right not to have to be offended by your speech. Makes an offensive gesture, I guess we all know what that might be. Display in a public place, and the gesture or displays tends to incite an immediate breach of the peace. We also use that for people who were in gangs and throwing up signs. If it causes an immediate breach of the peace and other people react to it, we can do that. Creates by chemical means a noxious odor in a public place. Stink bombs. We see that in the schools, and that is against the law, and it's under the public order crimes. Makes unreasonable noise in a public place or near a private residence that is no right to occupy. So if you're sitting in your car with your jams blaring out of your radio and you're thinking, everyone must like this, except for the little grandma who doesn't like every third word being a cuss word, that is against disorderly conduct. Fights with another person in a public place, the mall, the stadium, anywhere. Anything that's public, if you're fighting it, it's against the law. Discharges a firearm in a public place other than a sports shooting range, displays a firearm or other deadly weapon in a public place in a manner calculated to cause alarm, discharges a firearm on or across the public road, and then this is for those who, the flashers, that you commonly think of, that you're, relaxing out by the pool and some guy comes out, wants to expose himself. We can file it as a Class C, but there is another offense that's higher that we can file too. This is the peeping Tom kind of law right here. For a lewd or unlawful person enters on a property of another and looks into a dwelling on the property through any window or other opening in the dwelling. This includes hotel rooms, restrooms, and shower stalls. They added that for the guy who's leaning over taking pictures and that kind of stuff for weird reasons. Public lewdness. A person commits an offense if he knowingly engages in any of the following acts in a public place. If not in a public place, like if you're at home but you leave all your windows open and you walk up to the window naked, this is what we're talking about, public lewdness. A act of sexual intercourse, deviant sexual intercourse, sexual contact, anything like that. So if you leave your windows open and you and your spouse are doing something, then it would fall under the public lewdness if somebody's walking their dog by your window and sees that. Indecent exposure, again, I told you that there is a second level of offense for the guy who goes out to the pool and is naked and wants to show off his business. This is the higher offense, and it's a Class B misdemeanor. Remember, Class B misdemeanors are county jail offenses. Indecency with a child. This gets to be a little tricky because most of you here are 17 or younger, and let's say you're with your girlfriend and she's 15 and you're 18, then we're starting to get into some of the indecency with a child kind of questions. So it is a second-degree felony. You're not talking any joke there. I mean, you could spend time in the penitentiary for that. And again, you can read down on that. Any kind of deviant sexual contact, and that includes touching through the clothing. So that covers the guy who's, going around grabbing, girls' chests or inappropriately. Everybody always says, well, I was defending myself in a fight. We get that a ton. Every time someone gets in the fight, somebody says, I was using self-defense. Self-defense are defensive gestures. That doesn't mean that you're throwing punches too. Defensive gestures are things to take you from the fight or to block blows from getting to you. A person is justified in using force against another. Yes, you are, but it has to be reasonable. If you're trading punches, then that is a mutual combat fight. When and to the degree he is reasonably believes the force is necessary to protect himself against the other use or attempted use of unlawful force. The use of force is not justified in a response to verbal provocation alone. So if somebody says, I'm gonna kick your butt, and you beat the heck out of them, that's not self-defense. To resist, you can't say, I was using self-defense because the officer was gonna arrest me. To resist arrest or search by a person acting as a peace officer or by a person acting in a peace officer's presence and at his direction. We rarely ever direct anyone to search somebody's house. It's just not a good idea. Criminal mischief. We see a lot of that here in the building. People go in the bathrooms and I guess they get artsy and start drawing, putting all kinds of comments up there, leaving people's phone numbers, all kinds of stuff. That is a criminal mischief. Criminal mischief, you can have criminal mischief inconvenience only, which means that the poor maintenance guy's got to go clean all that mess off. Or there can be actual damage like breaking the mirrors, doors, car windows, somebody keying your car, toilet paper in your house. All that stuff can fall in the criminal mischief category. Again, the two culpable mental states: he intentionally or knowingly damages or destroys the tangible property of the owner. He intentionally or knowingly tampers with the tangible property of the owner, like putting something in somebody's gas tank that shouldn't go there. Anything that you can alter and it cause damage, then it falls in here. The way the offense is adjudicated depends on how much damage is done, because it has monetary amounts assigned to it, just like theft does. It's under 100, 100 to 750, 750 to
1,500.
1,500 and 1,500 and over. So each level is a level up. Criminal mischief in the theft table. This is our old breakdown. It used to be less than 50, but now it's less than 100. They just changed it September 1st, and then it's 100 to 750 now, and 750 to 1,500. So the tables have gone up, I guess, because inflation. They just based it on that, I guess. Because now cell phones kind of getting that on the line, because some of the cell phones are under $100. And some of the cell phones, it would have made it a Class A misdemeanor, because like the iPhone 6s and stuff are over 600. And then the old category used to be 500, now it's 750. So it's made it a difference for us. And these again are the state jail and the felony thefts, cars, that kind of stuff. Offenses against the property continue. Theft. A person commits an offense if he unlawfully appropriates property with the intent to deprive the owner of the property. It means if I take something from you, then I've committed a theft. Without the owner's effective consent, property is stolen, and the actor appropriates the property knowing it was stolen by another. This one's very tricky, because I hand you a phone and I tell you, hey, I got that out of the locker room. Well, you being in possession of it is a theft, because you know it was taken by me and I gave it to you to hold on to. So we can file theft on those. Robbery. Robbery is very easy to explain. It's an assault and a theft. Those two things together, assault and theft, or the threat of an assault and the threat of a theft. If you do those, that's called robbery. Burglary is a habitation, building, or vehicle. Even to enter a vehicle and sit in it and don't take anything is a Class A misdemeanor. Weapons. We're going to kind of run through these quickly, because anything on a school campus obviously is very serious in nature and is enforceable, and most of them are felonies because it's places where weapons are prohibited rather than just the value of what it is. So club, explosive weapon, firearm. And then that just goes over what kind of weapons, as far as firearms are, what if you have a shotgun or rifle, what the length has to be. A knife, and illegal knife, 5 1/2 inches for the blade length, switchblade, anything that's spring activated. Unlawful carry of a weapon is a person who commits an offense if he intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly carries on or about his person a handgun, illegal knife, or club. So that's the actual offense. Finally, what you need to know. Places where weapons prohibit. A person commits an offense if he intentionally, knowingly, recklessly possesses or goes with a firearm, illegal knife, club, or prohibited weapon on the physical premises of a school or educational institution. That may change if they start allowing college students to have a permit to carry. We'll see, because I think that's the direction we're headed there. Right now, if it's on any of the grounds, it's illegal. Polling place, government court, or offices used by the court, racetrack, airport, and any place that sells alcohol is illegal within 1,000 feet of a place of execution. Transportation. This is going to apply to those of you who drive poorly in our parking lot. Anyone drive poorly in the parking lot? Anyone know of anyone driving poorly in the parking lot?
Yes.
Speeding over the limit, speeding in a school zone, passing a stopped school bus with the red lights flashing and or the stop sign out. They got cameras on those now because we get to see those a lot. Squealing tires in a public place. I believe our school parking lot is a public place. And squealing of the tires as we're zipping out is against the law. Permit an unlicensed minor to drive. Loud horn unreasonable. Loud noise, car stereo. Child under the age of 18 riding in the bed of a truck. That would be, I'm not looking at anyone in particular that might have a truck. Maybe I've noticed that they've had a couple friends in the bed. If they're not 18, they are not allowed to be in it. Expired or failed to display DL. You must maintain insurance. Failed to ID peace officer with a lawful traffic stop. So if you run a stop sign, I stop you, and you say, well, I don't have to give you ID. You really do. Parking violations, fire lane, 15 foot of a fire hydrant, disabled or blocking the ramp. Gotta remember the ramp for the handicap has to remain unblocked. Parked on a crosswalk, prohibited stop, stand, or park. Oh, we get this every day. Pedestrian, jaywalking, those who go over to the subway complex. And there's those two white lines, and then there's a traffic control device with a white or red hand and a white man. If you're not inside the two white lines, and if the red hand is up and you go anyway, that's jaywalking. Anytime you impede the traffic, you just cross anywhere you want to, that's jaywalking. Those are going to be more and more enforced because that's probably our #1 complaint about our students. I mean, we could be doing lots of things at this school, but that's an important thing to people. Crossroadway, not in an intersection, that's for the people that are crossing anywhere they want. Walked on roadway, sidewalk provided, as you well know. There's sidewalks on both sides. Pedestrian failed to yield right away to motor vehicle, not at crosswalk. So if you're out there challenging the traffic, you're actually at fault. Pedestrian disregard control device, remember the red hand. If you walk on that, that's actually a violation of the law. All right, that's kind of a summarization of all the different laws, kind of to get you updated and get you acclimated with some of the laws that we are enforcing and what's out there.